G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Friday. I'm at Circular Quay, as you can see. It's an overcast day. The wind, by the looks of it, is coming from the south, so we may get some rain later on today. As you can see, the jacarandas are in full glory with their hues of lavender. And I just absolutely love this time of year. Anyway, what I want to do today is go on a walk and talk about a topic which is near and dear to my heart. And we'll just go on a journey, and the talk is all about marriage and how, according to the teachings of the church, how to be able to live a fruitful life, a fruitful married life, and to be able to stay together for as long as possible, and for that journey to be salvific and get you both to heaven. So I was reflecting on this topic just the other day, because I had my 36th wedding anniversary with my dear wife Paula. We went and celebrated, and we talked about how the years have passed. But amazingly, after 36 years, it just seems like yesterday. So I recall a number of years ago going to a wedding service at a church, a Greek Orthodox church at Kogra, where the priest, who has now moved on to Wollongong, but the priest back then at the Kogra church was Father Sophronios, a young priest who was single, so he chose the path of not marrying and becoming a priest. So within the Greek Orthodox Church, you can either be married before you become a priest, or once you become a priest, you need to stay celibate and not marry, of course. So I forget the marriage, I forget the wedding that I went to, but the words of Father Sophronios have stayed with me forever. So basically what he did was, after the wedding service, after the traditional Greek Orthodox church wedding service, Father Sophronios was congratulating the couple and giving a speech to the congregation who had gathered there to pray for this couple. And he said to the couple that today is your finest moment, where you're both on your best behaviour, looking your best, and surrounded by those who absolutely love you. Because realistically, a wedding day is a day which is once in a lifetime. For most couples, a wedding is celebrated with people in their lives. So it's one of the few times in your life where you have all of the people who love you, who are together in the one place at the one time, who are in health, and basically it's perfection. And it becomes more and more perfect as you look back at it over the years, where you've got all of those people in your life. And if you could hit a pause button, your wedding day would be one of those days that you choose to hit a pause button. But he said that the wedding couple are on their best behaviour. And married life, like we all know, but sometimes young couples aren't quite aware of, because they hear it, but it hasn't quite hit home, that married life has its ups and downs, as does the life of a monk or a person who's wedded to the church, like a priest. There's a Greek saying which basically said, being a monastic or being a person of the church is a very difficult life, but being married is even more difficult. But the priest reminded the couple that every married couple that has ever graced the earth started like this couple. Everybody starts like you two. Married life begins with a couple who are deeply in love with each other, who are full of admiration for each other, and they're constantly thinking of each other and wanting to be with each other all the time, sharing and caring and making the most of the moments and the life that they have together. But the priest is a very serious priest, Father Sophronios, but a person who I deeply respect, because when he talks with authority. And even though he's not married, because he has married so many people, because he has seen so many challenges that married people go through, he's able to talk, as I said, with authority, and his advice is very, very good. Here's my friend Toga heading off to work. Hey Toga.
How you doing?
Have a good day, mate. Look after yourself. Ciao. I love Toga. Toga is a man of great substance, a man from Samoa, and he, believe it or not, is a chief of his community. He's a chief of his village, and we've had many talks about his spiritual life, his family life, and believe it or not, he also is a person who's a father of many children, not necessarily the biological father, but within his culture, he does take on the responsibility of looking after many children who are growing up. I remember as a young man hearing that a village will bring up a child, and Toga taught me that amongst the Samoan community, being intimately involved in the raising of children is a very rewarding part of one's life. So I deeply admire Toga in many ways, and I've absolutely loved working with him, and I look forward to working with him again. But it's learning about his culture, learning about the way the Samoans bring up family is a very, very beautiful contribution to my life. But the author here talks on marriage, and he said that everybody starts in the same place with deep love, deep respect and admiration for each other. But he said sooner or later, without a doubt, each person within a relationship will be letting each other down. Not once, not twice, but many times. And in fact, you'll be letting each other down on a daily basis by what you do, what you say, what you think, and also what you don't do. Now, which is quite revealing and quite, surprising to many people, because most people think they are the perfect husband or the perfect wife. But Father Sophronios reminded us that we are letting each other down in many ways, in not only what we do, but also what we don't do. And the funny thing also is, and the strange thing is, that you may not be aware that you are letting your spouse down. You may not be aware that they're feeling bad, or that you've done something that may have offended them or their families, and you're living in bliss, or you think you're living in bliss, but deep down there's a wound which continues to fester. So for that reason, the author says, or the priest says in this case, that it is critical that we are attentive. We're not forgetful. The human mind is a powerful tool. But what the author says is that we need to be attentive to not only our needs, but to the needs of those around us. And most importantly, to seek and offer each other forgiveness on a daily basis, to pray to each other to talk to each other, to listen to each other, to understand that we are both growing at different speeds, and we're at different points in our growth and development. So whilst understanding that, we need to help each other grow and develop, and not to leave the other behind, and not to hold the other back. Because marriage is indeed very salvific, according to Father Sophronios, and with the right practice, with the right attitude, with the right prayer, can lead a couple to heaven. And having children, having the blessing of having children is even more salvific, because you need to deal with more pressure and more problems as a couple. Because the meaning of matrimony, the meaning of marrying, of coming together and living as one, is being able to give up of yourself, being able to give of yourself for the benefit and the sole benefit of somebody else, without ever expecting anything in return. Marriage is an institution. Marriage is a practice. Marriage is something that enables each and every one of us to learn more about ourselves, and then by learning more about ourselves and going through the trials and the tribulations and the challenges that will invariably face each married couple, is where we learn to respect and to love our parents, our grandparents, our uncles and aunts, and all our forefathers and foremothers, much, much more. Because it's then that you realise the huge sacrifice that they've done to not only stay married and keep their marriage afloat and fruiting, but to give us as their children all that they could to ensure that we had a good life, or have a good life, and that we too, through their prayers, can grow and marry one day as well. The other thing that I have to say on this topic is that I listened to another holy person, Gerandos Nectarios, who talked about the fact that we also need to be very, very careful when we seek to marry somebody, and to not only marry for our own purposes and our own ego, but to marry in a way to be pleasing to God. I'll hop on the train now. So he says that we need to pray to God and ask for his guidance, and to ask for signs as to whether or not the person that we like, or the person that we're thinking of choosing to marry, is indeed the person that we should marry. So to ask for guidance and to ask for signs to make sure that you're on the right track. Anyway, I'm heading to the train now. So where else in the world? Good morning. Where else in the world can you get on a train or get off a train and have the magnificence of this view? It's an absolute masterpiece. Sydney Harbour, Circular Quay, one of the most beautiful public spaces in the world, Circular Quay Station. Anyway, take care everybody. I look forward to coming to you again from a different location with a different message of empowerment. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we talked about a very tricky topic, the topic of marriage, the topic of love, where the key message from Father Sophronios is that each couple will invariably let each other down on a daily basis, and it's up to us to reach out and to offer and to seek forgiveness from each other on a daily basis in order to keep the health of the marriage present, and so that marriage can reap fruit. So thank you once again. Yassas, take care, and we'll chat again. Bye, and have a happy Friday. Take care.